commence the conference by felicitating our chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Jawad Ahmad Abed Almohsen Alanani. His Excellency Jawad Al-Anani is a seasoned economist and politician from Jordan, and he is the former Deputy Prime Minister of Jordan. Dr. Al-Anani has held high positions in the Jordanian government, including Deputy Prime Minister, several ministerial and deputy minister positions, Chief of the Royal Court, President of the Royal Scientific Society, and a Senate member. He has obtained his doctoral degree in economics from the University of Georgia, USA. Dr. Anani is well known for championing and leading privatization in Jordan. Dr. Anani has personally supervised the privatization of Royal Jordanian Airlines, Telecom, and the cement factory. Dr. Anani is a frequent contributor to various media outlets in English and Arabic, with more than 70 research papers and books like Peace Meeting, the inside story of the 1994 Jordanian-Israeli Treaty. In his current role, he serves as a distinguished professor at Talal Abu Ghazaleh University College for Innovation. Dr. Anani had been appointed as the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Al-Balaka Applied University in August 2021. We would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Anani on the dais for his keynote speech on West Asia, Fissures, Fault Lines, and Ruptures.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure indeed to have come to this August conference, and I thank my good friends, Anil in particular, because he was instrumental in this invitation. I appreciate that very much, and it has been some time since I have come to, since I came to India, and so it is a refreshing experience for me to recharge myself by seeing firsthand how India is actually moving forward and building capital and wealth that will promise its a bright future very soon. It is an honor and a source of pride and joy for me to be here with you. And I would like to thank everyone responsible for making this happen. And USANAS, I appreciate your invitation. When I was putting together the notes for this talk, I recalled a quote by Rabindranath Tagore that felt very appropriate. I don't know why. I just immediately identified with it. And it said, "It is simple to be happy. It is simple to be happy, but it is very difficult to be simple." Which is my task today. So in a way, you know, the purpose of this particular address is to talk to most distinguished and experienced people like you are, who are both scholarly and seasoned politicians, in order to bring together facts, bring out facts that will make us not criticize each other, but at least make us, you know, understand the need to become more close with each other. Since I was a kid, I have been very fond of Indian culture. You know, I used to read the translated books of Tagore, you know, especially story, and I remember one of the characters, his name is Ramesh, and he is crossing the river during the high rainy season, and that picture stuck in my mind for a long, long time. What do people do when they cross rivers like that? And I have been fond of Indian culture in all forms. It was available to me: music, films, mythology, and of course poetry like Tagore's. These diverse and wonderful cultural artifacts were especially helpful to me on March 1969, after I was arrested and jailed in Israel. And I'll tell you the story briefly. when I was arrested because I crossed into the Israel proper without a permit, because somebody told me you don't need a permit. But then I discovered I had. So they put me in jail for 2 nights. My sentry, my jail man, on the other side was from India, to be exact, from Punjab. And he, we started talking about India, because they wouldn't let me. I used to smoke. I used to be a bad boy. So every time I wanted to light a cigarette, the guard must light it for me. I have to smoke it near him. Then after I finish the cigarette, I throw the cigarette butt under the door, and he would squash it with his own feet. So there was no opportunity for you to make fires. And then I started talking to him about Indian movies. We started with Mother India, 1958, I think, or 57, which was a great movie. We loved it when we saw it. Then Sangam, then Raj Kapoor, Raj Kumar, all these famous actors, Deep Kumar and others. And he was so enthusiastic that he finally found somebody who talked so much about India. Then suddenly I looked at him and I said, if you like India so much, why don't you leave your country and come here? What is the difference between you and I? I am standing jailed behind the door, and you are standing outside it. But both of us are actually in jail. And I suggest, if you love India so much, that you go back, because you will spend your life here. But very soon I will leave and I will go other places. He did not like that. So he started shouting, Shater! Shater in Hebrew means policeman. And I said, but you are the policeman. That, to me, fastened my departure from jail. So when you use other people's even simple knowledge of culture, you understand that it can solve problems. It can make people understand each other much more. But there is a paradox that I would like to point out. A paradox I observed is that at the time of that fateful night in Israel, until the year 2000, almost 10, political and cultural relations between the two regions, mainly India and the Arab world, were at an all-time high. A crescendo, if you will, was a crescendo. Economic relations, however, during that era were shy and modest. Overall. In 2013, things took a turn for the better economically. And trade volume grew from 10 billion to 140 billion in the year 2014, and continued to grow until it reached 240 billion in the year 2023. So we are talking at almost, logarithmic growth or exponential growth on trade. However, political relations were strained by signs of anti-Arab sentiments and Islamophobia in India. And of course, which India's shift in its position on Palestine, because we think that you are having closer relations with Israel right now. But we don't mind that, because we have relations with Israel too, in Jordan. But the question is, what is the outcome of that? Now, although the extremist voices in India and in the Arab world are not the majority, not by any measure, but their position is taken as being in tandem with some government policies regarding Muslims and Muslim migrants to India. So in a way, these are creating feelings and reactions in the Arab world. And we are surprised because this is happening in India, not anywhere else. The country with whom we have long historical relations. I concur that this paradox of growing economic relations on the one hand and decreasing political affinity on the other is something that we really should think about. I don't think that Israel is in a position to compensate you for any disturbance in economic relations, nor compensate us for that matter. No other country. So anyway, I concur that all indicators point towards the fact that economic relations and cooperation between the Arab region and India have been evolving at an incredible rate. But when you consider the diversification of India, the Indian economy, and this is the point that I'm going to make, that the Indian economy is being diversified so much, which many Arab countries would like to emulate in their own economies. Saudi Arabia right now specifically says at Mohammed ibn Salman, the future king of Saudi Arabia, that he would like to see his economy being diversified and free from dependence on oil and away from what we call rentier economy into a productive economy. Now, isn't that what everybody wants right now? So in a way, the social contract in most Gulf states is going to change from the king owning things and distributing, among the people who are happy to be surviving and being taken care of by the government. While this is not going to be affordable, it does not build wealth over time. And Adam Smith was correct in entitling his book, an inquiry into the causes and I forgot the other word. Inquiry into the nature and causes of economic wealth. So in a way, wealth of nations, the wealth of nations. So wealth actually is the basic measure of economic development, economic growth. And by being so generous and spoiling and actually wasting resources and opportunities, now they have realized that it is too late for us to continue on the same path, to continue the same course of doing such things. So in a way, they are going to change. So what my point is, India being almost a free trade, almost a free economy, and not government controlled, and the same thing in the Arab world. So there is a huge opportunity for the future to be exchanged. The question then becomes, are we going to cooperate and prevail over our biases, or will we allow them to stand in the way of prosperity and mutual benefit? So this is one of the major questions that we have to ask. The Arab world, by the way, area, as you know, it is almost 14 million square kilometers. That is almost equal to the area of the United States. But the population is only 460 million, right now 400 something million. And India is probably at least 3 times and a little bit more than that. So for every Arab, there are 3 Indians in the world who live in India, not counting the ones who probably live outside. So in a way, India is rising in on the world economic stage. They don't need a specific area. They are not cornered to be tied to a specific area, but still, being a superpower very soon, you need to have the Middle East, and always everybody, every major country in the world would like to have strong economic relations with the Middle East. Now, although it is true, and I for one would not argue against it, that one can duly point out to substantiated grievances committed by Arabs against Indian citizens, abuse of labor relations, there is evidence. We cannot deny that. We should not deny that. We should admit this, apologize for it, and rectify the situation. You cannot continue abusing human relations and hope that the others will like you. They won't. Okay. So in a way, this is true. But then, what is really sad about this whole idea of abuse is that you'll find some citizens within their own countries who actually are participants in this outcome. Who sends, Indian laborers, for instance, cheap labor to the Gulf? Must be some agencies here. So in a way, we have to deal with the issue on both sides of the divide. And I am for one, I was Minister of Labor one time, and I truly believe in the value of human dignity. You cannot abuse anybody's dignity no matter where, no matter what the reasons are. You have no reason whatsoever to abuse that. And being, sympathetic with the people in Gaza right now, I can understand and fully understand that no one has the right to abuse other man's dignity. Throughout my political career, I have had relations with many Indian scientists, diplomats, UN officials, and have always enjoyed a great deal of connectivity with them as colleagues. And as friends, I was even exposed to blame by many Pakistani officials who could not believe my position on Kashmir, for instance. I said, why don't you let us press it? Why should you continuously raise that issue? What do you benefit, Neighbors can either be friends, or they can be a challenge, or they can be a threat. So the choice is yours. And why can't we change relations from threat to, if not necessarily friends, but to challenge? Throughout my, so in a way, and somebody said, why do you do that? I said, well, at least India had very good position on Palestine. I remember during the days of late Nehru, Prime Minister Nehru, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, throughout even Shastri, and others who were part of this great country's history. I was there to see how they stood on that particular issue. So in a way, you have to understand and appreciate the fact that deep down in every Arab conscience, position on Palestine is extremely important. And the way the events in Gaza have evolved, I think that they have strengthened that feeling. They have strengthened and deepened that feeling. Because the Gazans have shown that they are formidable, they don't surrender fast, and they lose as much as can be by weapons of mass destruction. There are no taboos. And the question, as you know, Gaza is only a small area, about 300 to 400 square kilometers, less than that. How can you miss when you have a plane throwing 2,000-pound bombs on them? You cannot miss. The question is not missing. The question is not hitting. The question is missing the target. You can't miss the target. So there were many people killed, so far 32,000. And at least about 80,000 wounded, and other than those who have been wasted in buildings that their bodies have not yet been discovered. So anyway, this is the situation that psychologically we're going through. And so for us to understand, we don't want you to be anti-Israel. Believe me, nobody wants that. But we want you to maintain your balanced position on that. Okay? And Israel may be a very good conduit with the United States. Israel might be a good supplier of certain arms, but believe me, we are not going to complain against India importing certain items from Israel because $13 billion of what they call technical high-tech defense industry items were sold by Israel last year. 13 billion. 3 billion were bought by Arab countries. So in a way, you cannot blame them. And we have the same countries that you have grievances with, and it is coloring your position vis-a-vis the total Arab world. namely Gulf states, to be honest with you, we have the same complaints too. So in a way, that is a situation to remember. You cannot generalize about the Arab world. Arab world is just very diversified too, just like India. So in a way, we can understand each other's positions if we really look deeper into the situation. On the topic of apartheid, by the way, Israel was a large supporter of the apartheid regime taking place in South Africa, and was even the largest supplier of arms to the white segregationists there. Arabs and Indians at the time, Hindu and Muslim alike, stood steadfastly against the apartheid state. They fight. Mahatma Gandhi was on the front lines of. I mean, the basic knowledge that we learned about Mahatma Gandhi, his strange story when he was evicted from the train because he was brown. So in a way, we fully sympathize with that and actually empathize with that story. When we read it in schools, we empathized with it very much. India is a country with a diverse civilization and a rich history and philosophy of peace and coexistence, as well as adherence and respect of the precepts enshrined in the Declaration of Human Rights. We look forward to India because we think it has a high ideal position. Of course, there are no fixtures in politics. Politics change. Political action changes. But still, the glue that keeps a country together is its moral stands on issues that can sometimes be contrary to basic strategic needs or benefits. Now, of course, it is true that some Arab nations have concluded the normalization of their relations with Israel on the basis of their growing economic relations with them. But for any group or political party to flagrantly support Israel's injustices against Palestinians would be beyond the realm of understanding. The strength of the relations between India and the Arab world must withstand the pressures and survive the differences of positions on obvious issues like Palestine and anti-Muslim actions. Therefore, we have to encourage more open dialogue between the Arab world and India. We need it very badly. Because historically speaking, we had our differences, and our economy was extremely impacted in the Middle Ages by European actions to try to reach India from the Cape of Good Hope. That caused a huge wealth redirection. So in a way, we fully understand the necessity and the importance of India to us as a country that is not only strong, but promises to be much stronger in the future. And we would like to maintain excellent relations with them. We have benefited in terms of civilizational contributions from the contributions of India, like numbers, zeros, philosophy, stories that have been translated into Arabic from Indian culture, and we don't deny that. We say that this book has been translated from, Indian, so and so, like Kalila and Dimna, the stories of animals. We have other relics and other stories in the Arabian Nights that were quoted from Indian story, from Indian culture. And so in a way, we have been culturally, scientifically, economically tied together for generations and generations to come. And the trade with India, whether you like it or not, historically speaking, it was the reason that Islam spread so much in the Asian continent. Because, traders from Hadramaut and other places used to carry trade to places like Maldives, Sindh, in India at that time, and other neighboring areas. So in a way, we are fully cognizant of what the Indian impact is on us in terms of history and so on. And we also would like to continue with that, but on an understanding and clear path. During the most recent G20 summit meeting held in New Delhi last year, the Bharat corridor, which would connect India to the Gulf region and from there to Jordan into Europe. Of course, the missing link here between Jordan and Europe, of course, is the passage through Israel. So in a way, we don't mind that, as long as it creates opportunities for the people to prosper. During the most recent G20 summit, okay, and from Jordan into Europe. The long-term project success.
Discourse. I just wanted to, at least I feel, as someone who's been an observer on Middle East, India's Middle East policy, that fundamentally India's support for Palestinian cause has not been diluted. But you seem to suggest that there is a change of perception in the Arab world, that there is a shift. I would like to understand that a little more, because whilst it is true that India went out in total support of the Israeli outrage at the terrorist attack on 7th October, understandably, because India has a very strong position against terror, wherever it comes from. But, and also, of course, there is an Israel-India partnership that has been ongoing. But equally, India has made it very clear, that they stand for the rights of the Palestinians to their own land, and also to the two-state solution. They have also said, that they are very distressed about the civilian casualties, and also has called on Israel to, exercise restraint, etc. So, how is that different from, say, some of the other Arab countries' position on the issue? And the second question, if I may ask, is, what are the surrounding Arab countries doing, and what is their strategy going forward?
Well, you are making heroic assumptions by that having a strategy. They don't have a strategy, I'm sorry to say that. I have to be very frank with you. I am talking about population and popular sentiments. India occupied a very important position in terms of appreciation. We refer to India as a country that had so many problems historically and so on and so on and so forth, yet India was able to come out of that, and now we do see the Indian profile is growing internationally and on the Asia stage. And we think that, and we are very much for Asia becoming the superpower. It is, in terms of population, there is no doubt about that. And there is a rift between the Arab countries and in many countries in the Arab world, between them and their leaders, between the people and the leaders. So in a way, we have to actually talk about the two different positions. When you refer to the political position, or political convenience, or what you might call political maneuvering, trying to find a path out, how to maneuver the country out of trouble, especially Jordan, being a small country surrounded by bigger countries and international pressure, and how you manage to do that and survive. Well, every country around us has been exposed to so much. We Jordanians somehow are split. Half of our passion is with the king and what he's doing in terms of succeeding in avoiding Jordan the troubles of the region and division and divisiveness that we witness in Syria, Iraq, and other places. But at the same time, we want to have more, to do more, because the population demographic mix in Jordan is different from all other Arab countries. So in a way, we have responsibility. The king has been carrying against Israel, the current Israeli government, not Israel, because he thinks the current Israeli government is the spoiler of peace. You see, and we think also in terms of peacemaking, Hamas, is also a spoiler for peace. So in a way, when time comes for negotiations, and that's my understanding, and a negotiator like myself, because I was the one who coordinated the whole peace process between Jordan and Israel. It comes to the point that finally, we have to put those people, we cannot get rid of them, they are part of their population, of their own countries, respective countries, but we can, talk to others who would like to talk to us and finally prevail in doing something. So this is the overriding issue here. And we would like India to play a more role than just, following a human rights appeal and so on. To many Arab citizens, what Hamas did was not a terrorist attack, by the way. If you read the literature and so on, it was to them a reprisal for what Israel has been doing in the last 20 years after occupying the West Bank and Gaza. And what they have been doing in terms of continuous besiege of Gazans. Gazans had and endured 40% unemployment, dearth of resources, dearth of electricity for a long time. That's why, 6 wars had taken place between Gaza and Israel between the years 2006 and 2024. On average, that is a war every 3 years. But this one is different because it lasted too long, and it was Hamas who started it by attacking the Israeli settlements around Gaza on the 7th of October. So in a way, we have two different narratives here. And so in a way, we have to agree on the language. Language, by the way, is a problem. Because when you say two-state solution, what does that mean? Americans say we want two-state solutions. Even Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, said we want two-state solution at one time. He keeps changing his position. But what is that two-state solution? Today, the Israeli government decided to confiscate 8,000 dunams, or roughly 800 hectares, from the Jordan Valley. Now, there was a huge battle between Jordan and Israel over the annexation of the Jordan Valley inside the West Bank. If that goes back, then Jordan has to take a position, because this would be in violation of the peace treaty between Jordan and Israel, Article 2. Because we have to draw our borders with the West Bank, with the Palestinian state, not with Israel. So if you compromise the integrity of that land, then Jordan cannot draw or demark and delineate its borders with any prospective Palestinian state. See? So there are actually detailed stories behind it that we need to look at more carefully. Yes.
Excellency, firstly, I wanted to very warmly congratulate you on an outstanding address. We enjoyed every word of it, and your deep appreciation of the historical background of our relationship with the whole Arab world, and what led to, the evolution of the relationship and where it stands now. Now, as a former governor of Delhi for more than 7 years, one of the things I want to state clear on behalf of our country and its legacy. We have always had a very tolerant and open attitude towards people from all faiths and religions. By whatever is being shown on the media today about so-called consolidation of the Hindu cultural religious identity in India, let me assure you, it has nothing to do You can add. In fact, one of the things which the present government did, and which I might say led to a huge amount of support of the Muslim women in favor of the present government, was the abolition of triple talaq. And they said, no, if in the sight of God you have got married, you stay the marriage, and there will be ups and downs. But we cannot allow a person to unilaterally say triple talaq and you are out of the house. Massive support. And let me tell you today, when we are talking about a uniform civil code, we are saying, as is possibly the case in Turkey and many other countries in the Islamic world, one person is actually allowed to have one living wife. You ask any Muslim lady, let me tell you, any Muslim lady in India who is married, and these are informal conversations, ask them, are you happy with the fact that there are 3 other women sharing the marital bed? No. It's not a human feeling. So when we say uniform civil code, firstly, whenever it happens, it will be a massive shift in terms of the preference of Indian Muslim women in favor of the government. The other thing is, when I was governor in Delhi, the chairman of the Minorities Commission, who was a senior Muslim gentleman from the profession, he would tell me, sitting in my office, sir, there is no country which is as hospitable to Muslims as India. There is no religious police, there is no, don't do this, don't do this. You want to do whatever you want to carry on. Sania Mirza played with skirts on the tennis court, no problem. Somebody wears a long veil, fine, go ahead. You see Lucknow, it's full of women wearing full body hijab. So big deal. Do what you want. So far as the question of negative propaganda against the present government and the so-called Hindu concern. By the way, I said yesterday you were, of course, yeah, I said the Hindu consultation is a very good thing. Because the Hindu worldview is one of tolerance, of coexistence, of respecting other people in a bond of fraternity and love and compassion. That is the Hindu identity. And we have demonstrated it over millennia. So if that is getting consolidated, thank God, at least there is some cultural kind of system, geocultural system in which we generally feel love and compassion for people across the world. We have had a worldview, we cannot prosper in peace unless we are able to spread peace and prosperity among our fellow brothers and sisters across the world. I tell my colleagues now, it is high time a transactional country like the United States, you put money on the table and you get weapons, begins to now follow the civilizational need of a country like India and not expect India to follow the transactional policy which has been adopted by the United States in the post-World War II era to create what they call the world, the rules-based international order to suit their convenience. Time has shifted. But for my brothers in the Muslim world, I can assure you, and this will go for any government of India which comes today, tomorrow, political changes, our 10,000 years legacy will ensure there will be always a sense of compassion, love and shared brotherhood for Muslims, for any other people from other faiths. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellency, my question is not that. I just want to endorse and echo what Khanna Saab and what Ambassador Puri said. Your introduction and your way that you explained the whole concept is very much candid and very much appreciated. If you don't mind, as I mentioned to you, I have stayed in Jordan for 10 years and I take this liberty on a personal level to tell the other larger audience here that Excellency is not only a close friend of India, but a blood relation to India because his daughter-in-law is Indian.
Thank you. Yes, I love Indian culture. I said I grew up reading Indian literature, listening to Indian music, and watching Indian movies, and so on and so forth. Until now I do, by the way. So I know as much about Dilip Kumar and others, as much as I know about Shah Rukh Khan and others. So my question is, my immediate response, sir, to what you said, I appreciate what you said.
And one final point as an add-on, if there are any small slivers of Muslim population in India who, because of wrong brainwashing by extremist interpretations of Islam, as yesterday Prophet Muhammad was a prophet of peace. He asked for peace. He sought and propagated peace. But if some people get basically, you can call, motivated towards an extreme form of saying Islam has to dominate the world, Nizam and Mustafa worldwide, and I can assure you, they are going to get the wrong end of the stick in India. And no amount of social media propaganda that they are sending is going to make this.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. That's why we have to be candid. Otherwise I would not get such a response. And now I can communicate your response to my readers and listeners and so on. So this is the idea. The idea of a dialogue is to reach a common understanding. And also you have said that you want to unlock the uncertainty in the world. And so in a way I endorse this very much for this session. But I just wanted to refer to one book, by the way, that was written by a Brahma economist. His name is Amartya Sen, as you all know. He is a great economist, development economist, and he won the Nobel Prize in 1999. But he wrote a book later on, as you probably know, you must know about it, called, Culture and, Identity and Culture. And I read that book avidly at least 3 times. Because, what is worrying, that in every society, there is a potential bias by what he calls, what Amartya Sen calls, the reductionist approach. If I want to attack someone, I reduce his identity exactly to the place where I can attack him. And he explained that with great eloquence, especially the introductory story at the beginning of the book, when he said during the partition period, somebody was in I don't know, somewhere where he used to live, East Bengal, and he said they came to his house, his father's house, and the man was, asking for refuge from people who were after him to kill him. And then it was too late for them to save him, and the man was killed by the people who were running after him. And his father was so indignant. He said, "Why did you kill him?" He said, "Because he's Muslim." He said, "Why didn't they say he was a Bengali? Why didn't they say he was Indian? Why didn't they say he was a human being?" That is the question. So they reduced his identity at that time of partition, to that level, so they can do it. What we are worried is that sometimes a fool can throw, what we have an Arab proverb that says, a fool can throw a pebble in a well, and it takes 100 sane people to take it out. That is what is wrong with the dynamics, of these things. So we have to actually address them right from the beginning. And I have no way of accusing India except with the fact that India has been very tolerant and very open society. And without that, you wouldn't be as diversified as you are. The result is in the proof is in the pudding. So in a way, I fully agree with you. But it is good to address those signs in their early stages. Thank you very much.